Hello and welcome to a new video tutorial on YouTube channel of tutorialspedia.com. This MuleSoft API Manager tutorial is part of a series of video tutorials covering different topics related to MuleSoft ESP. Here is the detail of topics that we are going to cover in this video tutorial. First of all, we will design our API in Design Center using AnyPoint Platform. Once we have designed our API, then we will publish our API to Exchange. And once our API has been published to Exchange, then we will create an API proxy using API Manager. And then we will apply different policies on our API that has been published. And last but not least, we will test our API endpoints to see the impact of the policies on our APIs. Before I proceed with the actual scenario that we are going to implement in this tutorial, I will request you to please don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed before, and press the bell icon so that you are notified for any new videos uploaded. So you can see that I'm already logged into AnyPoint Platform. So the basic requirement is that you need to have an account on AnyPoint Platform. If you don't have a proper full-fledged account, you can go for a sign up and create a trial account, and then you can do the practice using that trial account. So in order to create the API and to create the API specification, we will have to use Design Center. So I will use this option, Start Designing. I will click on this Start Designing. And now, once you click on the Start Designing, then you will have the option to create new APIs. So I will click on this Create New, and I'm going to create API specifications. You can use this Design Center to create new Mule applications, or you can use it to create new API specifications. For our use case, we are going to create a new API specification. So I will click on this option, Create API Specification. Here you are going to fill certain information about the new API that you are going to create. Let's name it as Book API because we want to create an API for book management. And here we have two options, Text Editor and Visual Editor. If you use Text Editor, then you will have to write all the RAML specification yourself. And if you use this visual editor, then you will have a visual interface for scaffolding the API specifications. For the use of this text editor to create RAML API specification, I have already created a separate video. I will put the link of that video in the description as well as in the suggestion box if you want to look into that. For this tutorial, we are going to use this visual editor, and here the save location is Design Center. So we will just click on Create Specification. Once you click on Create Specification, you will see that you will get all the options for specification and designing of your API. So here in the API summary, we will have to fill the information for our API. Let's name it as Book API. And here we are going to specify the version. I will specify 1.0.0. You can see that on the right side, our RAML is automatically getting created. The information that we are populating is getting reflected over there. So in the protocol, we have the option either we want to use HTTP or we want to use a secure HTTPS. Let's just use HTTP for our case. And now in the media type, you will have to choose the option either you want to use JSON or you want to use XML. So I will choose application/JSON. In the base URL, you can specify whatever the base URL you want for your API. Let's put just slash. Here you can specify any description as well if you want. Like I will just write, this is a book API for book management. So I'll just use a simple sentence over here. You can use whatever you want according to your requirements. So now you can see that whatever we are putting, it's getting updated into the RAML specification, a RAML file over here. Now what I want to do is that I want to first create the data type. So I will choose this option, data types, and I'll click on this plus button and I will choose add data type. So I want to create a new data type for book. So I will choose I will name it as book type, and the type for this is objects because it will be an object containing multiple properties. In the description, let me write that book custom object. And in the add properties, I will start adding different elements which are part of this object. So first will be book ID. I want to keep it as mandatory, and for the type, I just want it to be number. Then I will click on add property. I will add the second property, which will be book title, and this is going to be also mandatory, and the type will be string. Then I will click on add property, and the third property that I want to add is book author. And author, I want to keep it as an array because we can have multiple authors. So for the type, I will choose array. And then I just want to add another property with the name book price, and let's keep it as optional. And for the type of this book price, we will choose again number. So now we have this object type created, and if you see here, an example has been automatically created. So if you want to edit your example, you can click on this edit option, and now we will specify some custom values: book ID 100, book title, tutorialspedia, MuleSoft tutorials. I'm just giving a sample book title. And book author, here we are going to add multiple authors. So let's add Ajmal Abbasi, my name, and since it's a array, so I will put another name, David. So I just put two names. And then for the book price, I'm going to put 500. So this is just a sample example that has been added based on the object that I created. If you see on the right side, you can see that everything, whatever I'm adding on the visual editor, is being reflected over here. So now once we have created the type, now we need to go to the resources, and I will click on this and I'll choose add resource. So now I need to add the resource. So the resource that we are going to add is slash book. And here we can add get, post, put, patch, delete options, add any type of verb that we want to use. So let's first do the get. So for the get, we will just name it as get a book object. And now in the responses, we want to add a new response. So click on add new response for 200. Okay. We will choose the object that we just created. So for the body, click on this add body. And here in the type, you will have to choose the new type that you created, book type. And then in the query parameters, we are going to add a new query parameter, and this is going to be book ID, and it's going to be a number. So basically, we just defined a get method for our slash book resource, which will be expecting book ID as a parameter, and in the response, it will be returning back the complete book object. Now we want to do the similar thing for the post operation. So for the post, let's write add a new book. This is just a description which we add in the name. And here in the, it's not a description, it's a name. Here in the description, we can write any description that we want. So I'll go to body and I will click on add body. And the body that we are expecting in case of post method is again a book object. So we will choose book type. And in the response, we are not going to return any response. We will just return a response with the status code. So status code itself will be considered as a success or a failure, whatever the response is. So in this way, we created our RAML specification, which with the one resource slash book, and it has get operation, it has post operation. We already defined the data type, and we already specified the examples as well. So now we are good to go, and what we are going to do, we are not going to do the actual implementation of this backend in this tutorial. Rather, we are going to use the mocking service. So if you use the mocking service, then the example that we specified when creating our RAML, that will be provided as an output or as an input to whatever operation we are using. So for the mocking service, just on the top of this, click, just slide this mocking service option, and then you will see that a new URL for the mocking service will get added for our RAML specification. You can see here that base URL is now, base URI is now pointing to the mocking service. Once we have done this, this means that we have created our basics RAML specification for the API. So what we can do is that we can choose this publish option, and we will choose publish to exchange. So once you will click on this publish to exchange, this API that you just created, it will be published to the exchange, and you will be able to see it in your exchange. So let's keep the asset version and API version and everything uh, as uh, as suggested. So we will choose 1.0.0 and we will click on publish to exchange. So it will take a bit of time and then this API will be published to exchange. So it says that successfully published to exchange. So just click on exchange and you will see that a new window will open where you will be able to see this new API in your exchange. So if you see here, you can see your book API which has been published to exchange. Now what we want to do is that we want to apply policies and we want to define the API proxy and we want to define the policies for our API. For that purpose, what we will have to do is that we will have to go to this API manager option. So, and from the main menu, go to API Manager. So you will see that a new window will open. In API Manager, you will not see this API yet. So you will have to create the API specification first. So here it says no APIs to display. So what we are going to do, we are going to choose the option Manage API from Exchange because we have already published our API to Exchange. So we will use the API directly from the Exchange. So we will choose this option. Now here API name. So since the name of the API was book API, so we will just type book and automatically it will bring the name of the API correctly. So we got book API. So asset type, API version, asset version, everything got updated automatically based on the information that we have in the RAML file. So in managing type, we have two options, basic endpoint and endpoint with proxy. So for our case, we are going to use endpoint with proxy. So the proxy deployment target is Cloudhub since we are doing the mocking service on the Cloudhub. So here in the Mule version, select if you are managing this API using Mule 4 or above. We are using Mule 4 above 4. So we will click on this button. And implementation URL you can see is being picked from the mocking service because we choose the option of mocking service. We are not going to use any TLS context and we are not going to use any advanced options. We will just click on the save button. So once you click on the save button, then after that you will have options. You will get the summary of this API, and then you will have option to deploy this API proxy to the exchange. Okay, so here we have the book API. Now what we need to do is that we need to go a bit down, and we have option deployment configuration. So we need to select runtime version 4.3.0 for our case. And then here we have to give proxy application name. Whatever name you will give over here, .cloudhub.io. So this will become the proxy URL for your API proxy. So let's name it as book proxy and it will tell us if this name is available or not. It's available, so we will just choose this option update if application already exists, although this does not exist, but just in case. Normally if we are doing multiple versions or if we are going to redeploy an API which is already there in our exchange, then we can choose this option. So just click on deploy. So it will take some time to deploy the application and then it will start the application, and once the deployment is successful, then you will be able to uh, access the API proxy URLs. So you can see deployment has been successful. Now it's starting the application. It will take some time to start the application. So you can see that everything looks green, which means deployment of the proxy and the starting of application has been successful. So we will just now close this and now we will be able to test our API proxy. So let's go to runtime manager, and in the runtime manager we should be able to see our proxy that we just created. It should be in the deployed status. So we are just opening the runtime manager. So here we can see book proxy and status is started. So if you click on this, you get this URL for this domain. So let's copy this one. So I will paste this in my browser to check the GET request. And what we will do is that we will use /book book ID is equal to, let's put anything like 200. Okay, so if we try to hit the service, we get the response. So the response is book ID is 100, book title tutorials PDF MuleSoft tutorial, and we have two authors and also book price. So basically the information that we received is based on what we define, examples. Now let's move back to our API manager and apply the policies on our API. So I will go to API manager. Okay, in API manager for the book API, I will click on its version, which we want to take into consideration. And here we are going to apply the policies. So what I will do is that I'll go to this policies URL policies link. I'll click on this. And now I will have to choose add new policy option. So I click on this option, add new policy. And here you can see that we have a large list of policies, different type of policies that we can apply on our APIs. And if you see the categories, we have different categories, like we have certain security policies, and we have quality of service policies, including the rate limiting based on SLA. We have troubleshooting policies, and some policies related to transformation and compliance. You can select any of this category and see what kind of policies each category has. Like in security, we have IP by blacklisting and whitelisting, we have de-tokenization, and we have certain other policies like JWT validation, etc. And in the quality of service, we can see that we have HTTP caching policy, we have policies for rate limiting, and we have spike control. So let's add a rate limiting policy. So I will choose rate limiting policy. And here you can see the information exactly that specifies the maximum value for the number of messages processed per time period and rejects any messages beyond the maximum. So this is what we want to do, and what we want to do is that we want to configure this policy in such a way that number of requests that we want are not more than two in time period one, and time unit is minute. So basically in every minute we want just maximum of two requests. This is not practical, but just for the sake of this demo, I want to put it like this so that we are able to observe the pattern and observe the behavior based on this policy. Here in the identifier, we will keep it open, we will keep it blank. And if you want to specify certain identifier, for example, certain query parameter, you can do that as well. Like if we specify here, our query parameter is book ID. So if we put it as book ID, so what will happen is that for any book ID, it will take this policy into consideration. Like if we choose book ID is equal to 2 every time, so it will allow book ID is equal to 2 only maximum of 2 times in a minute. And if we specify book ID is equal to 3, it will consider it separately. But if we don't specify anything here, then it will be generic. So for the complete set of operations within the API, this policy will be enforced. So we will just click on apply. So it will take a bit of time to get this policy applied. So I have already opened Postman, as I want to use Postman to test the services, because we have get and post both type of verbs available for our API. So in order to test both, I will prefer to use Postman. So first what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use the get operation, book proxy.us e2.cloudhub.io/book question or book ID is equal to 2. So let's try to access this API, and we can see that we got a response. Let's try it second time, and we got the response again. So now when we tried it third time, we got the response that quota has been exceeded. This is because we specified that the maximum number of requests that we allow in a minute are 2. So if we try the post operation for the same API, within the same minute, we should get the same error for the post as well. Let's try post. And for the post in the body, we are going to specify JSON. Let me copy the JSON from the output that we had previously. It should be in my browser. So I'll copy this and I'll put it as a input for this post body. And in the body, sorry, not for this, for the post one, in the body I'm going to specify this value. Now if we try to access this, we got the response because 1 minute has already passed. So I will try again. I tried second time. Now if I try third time, here also we got the response that quota has been exceeded. This is because we define the policy like this. Now if we go back to our API manager, and if we try to see analytics dashboard, we should be able to see certain analytics. Okay, so in the analytics dashboard, let's choose the API as book API, and we choose the date range to be 1 hour only. So here you can see that we have the information for the hits that we did to our API. So here we have a spike. So we have two requests over here, and here you can see the geographical location also from where request has been made. And if you go down, you can see more details like from which type of operating system requests have been made, and request by application. Since we did not create any application in the developer portal, so we have unknown information over there. So basically, API Manager option in AnyPoint platform is quite rich in terms of the policies that it provides and the way it provides us the flexibility to define our APIs, to apply the policies, to govern our APIs, and to see the analytics. So that's it from this video tutorial, and I hope that the information that I conveyed through this tutorial is helpful for you. And if you have any questions, feel free to write in the comments section, and I'll try my best to respond to your questions as soon as possible. And go through other videos in this playlist of MuleSoft tutorials. And also, I'll be coming up with more and more videos related to different intermediate as well as advanced topic in MuleSoft API management and MuleSoft integration platform. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon. Thank you very much.